Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So my name is Valerie, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. If you've been here, thank you very much for following me. So yesterday I tried to make a video about like some witch in Colombia, I believe it is. And then when I was editing the video, the sound just completely cut off. I don't know why. To me, I don't know why I always believe that stuff like that is related to just paranormal stuff. I don't know why. It could be just a glitch on my computer. It could be a glitch on the program. But I don't know why. My mind always goes there. It just, every time I try to record on certain subjects, I always have issues. And especially with like exorcism type of stuff, if I try to make a video on that, my whole video will corrupt or just something happens, like my battery will die. I don't know why. Like, my house just doesn't want me to record stuff on witches, so I guess I'm not gonna do it. Sorry. Anyway, I did see a comment talking about if whether I can do a video on Black-Eyed Children. Here are some things that I've found on Black-Eyed Children. One is that they are usually kids or teenagers between the ages of 6 and 16. They have pale skin and black eyes. They usually have strange clothing, not clothes that any actual children would wear in whatever time they're seen. You know, like in the 90s, it's not clothes from the 90s. If it's in the 2000s, it's not clothes from the 2000s. Another thing is that they don't really communicate like actual children. They communicate like monotone, just having some type of weird personality, and it's only that one question that they ask: can I have a ride, or can you let me in? And that's all they talk about. They don't actually have any type of conversation. They don't have anything else to say but those actual words. So pretty much from what everyone describes, pretty much it's kind of like the children of the corn. Just children, just kids with black eyes, pale skin, mostly black hair from what I've seen in a few stories. And everyone describes that they feel just a gut feeling like something's wrong. So one of the things that I've read is that a lot of people believe that they're vampires. And I really don't think that they're vampires, because just because they're asking to be let in somewhere or be driven somewhere, I don't think that has to do with only vampires. I don't even know if I really do believe in vampires. But from what we know, vampires, you know, they have the teeth and everything, and I don't know. I just don't think that's what it is. Another thing is, I've been reading a lot of people saying that they might be aliens, which I don't think that's what it is either. I don't know, in my mind, if I think an alien is gonna come here, I don't think they're gonna be looking like us. I think they're gonna be looking like just, I don't know, anything but human-like. The main thing I read about that it could be the word, which I won't say in my house because I don't want to say that word in my house. I feel like if I say that word, I'm bringing that into my home, so I don't want to say this word, but this. And I believe that's what it is. Number one, because of the black eyes. I mean, if you know about that subject, you know that they have black eyes. My mind is thinking that they just don't have a soul, so that's the reason that they have black eyes. Number two, the fact that they can't communicate with people. I feel like maybe there's lower level that have been there for so long that they don't know how to communicate with people. So that's the reason that the people that have the sightings just don't have any type of communication with them, because they don't know how to communicate. Number two, or I'm sorry, that was number two. Number three, I think that it's because because of the fact that they keep asking if they can be let in or let you drive them somewhere. I don't know if anyone is aware, but they need permission from us as a human being, as a soul, as a good soul or whatever. They need permission to do anything. So because of our free will or whatever. So because they don't have permission, that's why they need you to say, hey, can I come in? And I don't even think that they're actually asking to come into your home. I think they're asking to come in, you know. And when I was researching this, I did see a lot of people that, oh, they had a weird feeling and they just sent them away. But there is no actual stories of anyone that said yes, you can come in, or yes, you can have a ride. There's no actual stories that say that what happened afterwards. And I believe that, like I said, when they're asking to be let in, they're asking to be let in to your body or whatever, to take over your body, kind of like possession. So the people that have said yes or whatever, I believe those are the ones that get possessed, and that's when we hear stories of people being possessed. I think, you know, probably the Black-Eyed Children leads to possession, and that's where we see all those other stories. I do find it kind of weird that a lot of the research that I found says that a lot of the stories that we've been hearing, they all started when this reporter made a story on it. I think it was in the 90s in Texas. He had an experience with the Black-Eyed Children where I guess they came up to his car and started banging on it when he said no. That's another thing. If you say no, supposedly they get all crazy and angry and they start banging either on your front door or on your car. And I believe that's what happened to the reporter, and he ended up putting out this story, and now just everyone's like, oh yeah, me too, oh yeah, me too. So I think it's kind of weird that there's only stories going back to the 90s, because I mean, they've been around forever. So I do believe there's stories out there, you know, before the 90s, in the 1800s, in the 1400s, in the 1300s. It's just that we all call everything so many different things. So I think the stories are out there. It's just that they're named differently, so that's why we can't really relate them to Black-Eyed Children. I did see one story on YouTube. If I can find the clip, I'll go ahead and add it in, but if I don't, sorry. But I did hear about this guy who was talking about a story. I believe his grandfather was talking about how he had an experience in 1918. So the guy's grandfather ended up telling him a story about how he had an experience where some kids came up to his door and same description, pale kids, black hair, black eyes, and they knocked on his door. He had a bad feeling, so he just told them just wait in the porch. The little girl, I guess, it was a little girl and a little boy, and I guess the little girl got a little crazy and started just repeating it, can I come in, can I come in, can I come in? And she and then he got upset and just yelled, and he's like, no, you're not gonna come into my house, go away. And you know, obviously they did go away because his grandfather is alive. But he told that story of when his grandfather dealt with that, and this was in 1918. So like I said, I believe the stories are out there. It's just that either the people haven't told the stories, or they called it something else, and that's why we haven't put two and two together. But anyway, that's my little insight. But I was thinking maybe I should go ahead and read other people's stories on their experiences. I don't know if they're true or not, but I love actually reading these kind of stories and seeing other people's experiences, even if they're not true. I mean, at least it gets us out believing what we want to believe. Okay, so this one is called The Midnight Caller. It almost felt like a dream. I woke up to my dog, Lucy, barking. She was upright on the bed where my husband and I were sleeping with our 22-month-old daughter. Staring at our door like an unknown stranger was out there rummaging around. I thought she was freaking out over a house noise. We'd only had her for 3 months and she was still a puppy. It could have been anything. A roommate, a creak from the house settling, the awnings moving outside in the breeze. I wasn't too concerned initially. I decided the best bet would be to open the door and show her nothing was there. It sounds a bit silly, but it's what we do with our daughter when she gets scared, and I figured it would work with the puppy too. I opened the door and she raced to the front door. She stood there, snarling at the door. It was an angry, violent growl, one I had never heard her make before. I looked groggily at her and opened the baby gate, blocking the doorway, planning to open the door and show her everything was okay. The second my hand reached the deadbolt, Lucy went wild. She started barking and jumped towards me, and when I touched the metal, she suddenly changed her temper. She whimpered, almost like she was afraid and backing down. As her mannerism changed, so did mine. I wasn't calm anymore. My heart was racing and sinking at the same time. I had been flooded with a mixture of fear and dread. I looked through the peephole. I can't explain why I looked, but I did. Outside were 2 kids. One was just a smidgen shorter than me and didn't look much younger. I'm 21, and she looked to be 16 or 17. She was slender and pale. Her hair was a light shade of honey blonde. She wore it long, about mid-back, with long, thin, blunt bangs in front that covered most of her eyes. She wore jeans, a light wash that's popular right now, and a thin-looking olive-colored pullover-style hoodie. She held the hand of a small girl, who looked to be around 3 or 4, in the same style jeans and a button-down ivory cardigan. The smaller one looked at the floor shyly, but had the same shade of hair, tied back in a ponytail. She held a stuffed toy under her free arm, and it was identical to one my daughter had, as was their style of dress. Had it not been for the feeling of overwhelming dread and fear, I probably would have asked these children in and given them some tea or hot chocolate to get them out of the bitter cold. Something about them seemed off. At this point, I hadn't made any noise. I hadn't shushed the dog or grumbled anything. I hadn't turned on any lights. These kids had no indicator I was at the door. The older one spoke. She had a voice that was mature, confident, strong, and accentless. She held her head tilted downward, and I couldn't see her eyes. She said, "We have to use your phone." I stood frozen in fear. How did she know I was there? She raised her head to face me directly, and that was when I saw her eyes. There was a reason I couldn't see them through her bangs before. They were black, or midnight blue, or a dark, dark purple gray. They were otherworldly. She said, "Our mother is worried." As someone who has been interested in creepy stories, I knew what she was the second she looked at me through the door. I have never been one to believe in these things. As a staunch atheist and skeptic when it comes to the paranormal, I had written off many ghost stories from my friends and family members eager to tell their story. I didn't believe it. Still, I couldn't rationalize my way out of this. I was standing with nothing but a thin wooden door between me and a black-eyed kid. There was no questioning what was right in front of me. I didn't answer her. Slowly and silently, I backed away from the door, Lucy still cowering at my ankles. She kept talking. "Just let us in to use your phone." I took another step back, and with that step, the tone changed. At first, she seemed polite. When I took that second step back, she became commanding, almost hostile. "We're not going to hurt you. If we wanted to do that, we would have broken in." "I'll ask again. May we come in and use your phone?" Lucy snarled at the door, and I inched backward, though something inside me seemed to be slowly pulling back towards the door. It wasn't a physical pulling so much as a subconscious need to go back and let them in. I got to my room, covered up the window, locked the door, and sat there in the dim light of the nightlight. I heard her call me back to the door once more, and then quiet. I didn't go back to sleep that night, and I haven't slept right since. I know from reading about them that BEKs, which is an acronym used for Black-Eyed Children, can't just come in without permission. I know they haven't hurt anyone, but I still fear I'll be the exception. When I told my husband, he said it was just a dream. He kept telling me to forget about it. But this lingering feeling of sadness, this dread when the house is silent at night, this fear of a knock at the door, this tells me otherwise. There's a lot more, but I'll be reading here all day. But honestly, like I said, I do believe it's because also they use children. Children you are more likely to invite in because you feel so bad because it's a child. If it's night and it's cold, you're gonna want to help a child. So I believe that's the reason they use either teenagers or children. Teenagers, obviously, if they're going up to a teenager, I feel like they're gonna a teenager and a teen and a teen are gonna relate more. So I feel like they're trying to use that. And then small children at night asking for help, you're more inclined to help a child. So that's the reason I believe that use children. So anyways, I'm gonna show a few pictures of what has been captured supposedly of Black-Eyed Children. So here's two of the images. And honestly, I don't even think that those are actual images, because I don't feel like if you run into one, I don't feel like you're gonna make it to where you're gonna be able to take a picture and show it to the world. I just don't feel like they're gonna give you that type of evidence, because if it is what I believe it is, from my understanding, they don't want the evidence out there. So I don't think you're gonna have, so I don't think there's gonna be pictures out there. I mean, I know that there is like videos and pictures out there of spirits, but just if it's gonna be that exact, I don't think it's gonna be out there. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like my video. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.